Human trafficking is modern-day slavery. It is the exploitation of a person through force, fraud, or coercion.
Southeast Asia has been identified as one of the regions where human trafficking is most prevalent, with an estimated 200,000 women and children displaced each year for sex work alone. The history of human trafficking in Southeast Asia actually has started between the 15th and 17th centuries, known as slavery issue. Then in the 1960s and 1970s, several countries in Southeast Asia began to experience rapid industrialization that became one of regional causes of human trafficking. Since the end of World War II, sex trafficking in Southeast Asia becoming more prevalent as the growth of the sex tourism industry in Southeast Asia at that time. Meanwhile, in Cambodia, some academics have noted that after the cessation of conflict in 1991, most of the country's population experienced worse physical and health conditions, and led to many Cambodian workers began seeking unemployment options elsewhere, which led directly to an increase in labor trafficking. Despite some legitimate glories of democratization and social reform in the late 1990s and mid-2000s, corruption involving the government in the country continues to be rampant and remains a major barrier to any anti-trafficking program.
Miingon man ang recruiter nga gusto ba mo trabaho Manila, tabangan ta mo. Nang tana po nito sa trabaho dito sa Manila para mo ingon siya ng sales lady anya dagko daw ko ng sweldo, libo-libo niya. Siyempre kinsa bay dili ma kuan ana nga sweldo. Dili ta.
सब लोग ने हमको थूकता था, गाल देता था। मैं खुद को सुसाइड करने को सोच आया, फिर भी मुझे मौत नहीं आई।
ट्रैफिकर कोई दूर गांव से नहीं आएगा, किसी दूसरे देश से नहीं आएगा, ये हमारे बीच में ही कोई होगा।
Talaga kasi wonder din sa mga kinakalikitan ko na itistuwaga din.
Statistics of human trafficking in Southeast Asia. The United Nations (UN) estimates that 40.3 million people are involved in modern slavery or forced labor elsewhere. In fact, human trafficking cases in South Asia, East Asia and Pacific region has increasing year by year. The problem of human trafficking in Southeast Asia also has become more serious and worsened. Based on statistics from the United Nations Crime Trend Survey, Vietnam, Philippines, and Thailand have ranked top in the number of victims detected in 2011. Meanwhile, Global Report on Trafficking in Persons of 2016 has reported that more than 85% of victims are trafficked throughout the region. The majority of victims from Asia are trafficked for the purpose of sexual exploitation. However, the International Labour Organization or ILO has indicated there are a rise of people who have been trafficked because of labor exploitation.
The definitions of human trafficking is where the meaning of trafficking in persons is the recruitment, transportation, transfer, harboring or receipts of persons, where tracked or used or force or types of coercions of abductions, fraud, deceptions, abuse of power for positions of vulnerability of the person, by giving or receiving of payments of benefits to achieve the consent of a person having control over another person, for the purpose of exploitation. Exploitation shall include the exploitation of the prostitutions of others or other types of sexual exploitations, forced labor or services, slavery, and the removal of organs. There is different definitions for children's trafficking, which the international law stated that it is only necessary to show an action such as recruitment, buying and selling for the specific purpose of exploitation. For better explanation, trafficking will occur when the child was subject to certain acts such as recruitment or transportation for the purpose of the exploitations of that child. This is because this is necessary to show that false deceptions and the identifications of child victims of trafficking and the identifications of the traffickers is likely to be easier than in cases involving adult victims. Types of human trafficking. People are trafficked for many purposes, including forced labor or services, domestic servitude or forced marriage, sexual exploitations, and many more. The new types of exploitation, such as forced by criminality, forced by begging, trafficking the pregnant woman for them to sell their newborn babies, or trafficking for the purpose of organ harvesting. For men are commonly being exploited in the labor-intensive industry, such as fishing, construction, agriculture, and garment manufacturing. Meanwhile, women are usually subjected to sex trafficking, forced marriage, domestic servitude, or forced labor in garment manufacturing. For the children are in addition trafficked for forced begging or child soldering. Now we continue to the current issues of human trafficking in Southeast Asia. Human trafficking issue plugs in Southeast Asia in 2019. Human trafficking is burdened to the Southeast Asia, where the deaths of 39 Vietnamese nationals while trying to enter Britain being the latest case in point. The Asian Post quote the United States Department of State Trafficking in Persons report 2019 as stating that in the case of Vietnam, traffickers typically subjected their victims to forced labor in constructing, fishing, agriculture, mining, logging, and manufacturing sectors. They are primarily trafficked in Angola, Japan, Laos, Malaysia, the Republic of Korea, Taiwan, and the United Arab Emirates. The Asia Pacific is in.
We know that there have been some mass graves discovered in southern Thailand. Do you think there are more mass graves around here? Are there more people that have been killed that haven't been discovered?
Yes, sure. Some of the government officials, they inform local authority to stop digging the graves, because if they dig many graves, then international community and also the other countries, they can see some of the evidences with dead bodies. So it will not be good for Thai reputation.
So you know of other undiscovered mass graves that are around here?
In the mountain, there will be many graves. If we walk in the mountain, we will just walk on the dead body.
There's an ongoing trial right now against 91 people, in some cases government officials, who have been charged with criminal offenses related to the crime of trafficking. Unfortunately, there are huge problems with that trial. It appears as though it's a show trial, essentially. It has not even touched the tip of the iceberg.
Those currently on trial are said to be mostly low-level offenders. While some higher-ups have been charged, sources told us most of the kingpins are not being pursued. So the real big bosses, the real kingpins, they've escaped?
Yes, maybe they negotiated with the local authorities to hide evidences, and maybe they give bribe. And also some of the human traffickers, those who are the big investors, they also have link with some government officials. They do business. So these government officials, they protect their business.
But there is evidence to arrest the kingpins. They're just not using that evidence. They're not going after them.
Yes, we are very disappointed because they are still escaped. They are not arrested.
What is the main causes of human trafficking in Southeast Asia? One of the primary causes of human trafficking is the lack of rights granted to women around the world. The lack of rights provided to women around the world, particularly in many Southeast Asian countries, has been a major driver of sex trafficking. Many women in Indonesia and Cambodia's poorer regions are never given birth certificates or other kinds of legal identity, making it difficult for them to find legal work and pay for their families. Human trafficking has also been linked to the livelihood of these women. Many of these victims are unable to recognize the common sign of human trafficking scheme and fall prey to evident deceptions due to a lack of effective preventative measures. Human traffickers frequently prey on destitute rural communities, promising young ladies a better life in the large city. What is the effect of human trafficking in Southeast Asia? First, political effect. Non-traditional security risks have occurred in Southeast Asia as a result of political instability. Climate change, natural disaster, infectious disease, and international crime are examples of non-military threats. Non-traditional security threats in Southeast Asia and abroad have two distinguishing characteristics such as transnational and complex. Human trafficking, sometimes known as modern slavery, affects 45.8 million men, women, and children worldwide, with 2/3 of them living in Asia-Pacific according to the Global Slavery Index 2016. Because of threats, violence, coercion, misuse of authority, or deception, modern slavery refers to situations of exploitation that a person cannot refuse or leave. For example, if they are in a foreign nation, their passport may be revoked, they may face assault, or their family may be endangered. Malaysia was placed 5th in Southeast Asia for the prevalence of slavery, behind Cambodia, Myanmar, Brunei, and Thailand. Second is economic effect. According to the International Organization for Migration, human trafficking has a negative impact on the Southeast Asian economy, since victims are caused to move in pursuit of paid jobs and are forced to work in fishing, agriculture, construction, and domestic work. In Cambodia, Indonesia, Myanmar, and Thailand, forced labor in the finishing industry has been extensively reported. For example, they are working up to 20 hours a day. Victims are paid little or not at all. Domestic service, garment, and hospitality are the most common industry where women are trafficked.
Human trafficking also affected the social life of people in Southeast Asia. The rise in child trafficking in the region is linked to the increasing in online child pornography, including the live streaming of sexual abuse of the children. It is also a lucrative business that estimates to generate $3 to $20 billion profit of a year. Countries such as Cambodia, Thailand have been identified as a major suppliers of pornography material.
In an effort to combat human trafficking, ASEAN entered into human trafficking agreements starting from 1997 to 2015. There are three major ASEAN institutional arrangements on human trafficking, in addition to their follow-up documents such as plans of action and work plans. Firstly, on 20 December 1997, there is an agreement that was put forward by ASEAN for the first time regarding transnational crimes. It was the ASEAN Declaration on Transnational Crime that was signed by 10 ASEAN countries. The 1997 declaration became the first cornerstone for its regional efforts in combating human trafficking in the future. It was also the first time that transnational crimes were put on ASEAN's policy agenda. The trafficking in women and children was one of the transnational crimes they are focusing.
In combating the transnational crimes at that time, they will recognize the issue at the regional level, establishing institutional bodies to ensure ongoing discussion and commitments, and laying down the framework for future cooperation.